out this week's precious metals market update. There's not a whole lot going on. It's been very quiet, and gold and silver have been stuck in a very narrow trading range due to the Federal Reserve. Can you imagine 58 months and interest rates have been sitting at zero, and we still have an economy that's really not growing, has negative growth. And for 19 straight months, they've promised to raise rates and have yet to raise rates one time. And with the indications out early this morning, it doesn't look like they'll be able to raise rates again, even though they continue to lead the public and day traders to believe that they will raise rates. But it doesn't take a genius to figure out if they did raise rates, you would put this world in turmoil and probably a depression right away. Even a 1/4% rise in interest rates on all the debt with derivatives out there, it'd be enough to knock it over. I mentioned the thing last week that we got a lot of nice comments on, I always appreciate it, was the situation out there where the percentage with the debt going to 19 trillion that the Congress raised quietly, let Obama have another $1 trillion to throw away before he leaves office. We went to 103% of the gross domestic product. Not one country in the history of civilization has ever had their currency make it that had their debt go over their GDP. And people, if you think we're going to be the first, you are really, really in bad shape, because you're making assumptions that will not happen in any environment in the history of the world. And you say, well, will it last 1 year, 3 months, 2 years? I don't know. I can't answer that. But I can tell you it's over. The other thing that has been shocking that came out this week, and I won't read it where I don't mess up on it. Basically today, with a $12 trillion M2 money supply. Let me say it again. $12 trillion M2 money supply in circulation, and of that, in coin and paper money, is only 50 billion. So let me put that in the calculator for you. That's 1/2 of 1% of the money that we use in commerce in the United States is in physical currency. That's the reason I tell everybody you've got to have some money out, some physical US dollars and coinage, because you're going to need it at some point for barter, for trade to do. Because remember, 99.5% of the $12 trillion M2 money supply is in fiat currency, a bookkeeping entry with nothing to back it whatsoever. And when the banks collapse, and they will, then you're going to have very little left, because there is nothing. There is nothing but a paper entry. So just be sure you're aware of that. But other than that, there's not a whole lot going on. We still see some very big name forecasters that have great track records, the Cliff Highs, Bo Pony, Dr. McHugh. I mean, very, very high level people talking about much higher prices between now and March. Some of them think by the end of the year, we'll see silver jump 40, 50% and more, and gold 20 to 30% by the end of this year. And certainly all that could happen. It just takes one black swan event. And with all the war potential out there going on, what's going on in Syria, we've got refugees on the move. We've got countries with no way to finance this, including Germany. Just all kinds of black swan events that could potentially happen. And of course, Russia could pull the pin every day, any day, and sink the US dollar. The US dollar has made a big rise after dropping from 100 all the way down to 94. It's back to 96 due to all these problems going on in the rest of the world. People, we actually are in worse shape, but we haven't dealt with the problem yet. So you can continue to cost average into metals, but you need to have a percentage you're comfortable with and get that amount purchased, because in my opinion, even though it hasn't happened yet, you will see some very big moves between now and the end of next year in gold and silver and platinum, palladium for that matter. If you have any questions, we can be reached at 800-247-2812. That's 800-247-2812. And if you don't have an IRA, a precious metals self-directed IRA, we can walk you through that on how to have that, where you can have that in your IRA. One last thing, I heard from a UPS employee that they will not be getting any increase, and we've also seen already Social Security will not be increased next year for the first year, and I forgot how many years, but things are changing, and they're going to speed up, not slow down. Till next week, this is Tom Cloud with this week's Precious Metals Market Update.